that down.
Hey everyone, Coach Cindy here, and I'm here with Sonya, and Sonya is joining us to share her journey from where she started to where she is now, which we're going to learn all about that in a little bit. So if you're here live, pop into the comments and say live, and if you're here on the replay, just drop the word replay below, just so I know who's following along with Sonya and I as she shares her story. Sonya, you want to tell us a little bit about you?
Go, please. I don't know if you.
Hi.
They're all making their
all being on camera.
Yes, that's what it is. Well, thank you. Okay. Well, please. No, start. All right. Well, you've just met two of my boys. I'm a mom of four boys, and I'm a teacher. It's a little bit busy right now. It's of course, I started the program with Cindy beginning of September, and really, really busy time in a teacher's life. Started a new school, started a new grade, so wasn't sure that I would completely have time to do what I really felt like I needed to do. But yeah, I'm here.
You're here. Yeah, you're here to tell the story of how you did it. Exactly. So let's start off is you were actually in Florida when we had our first call, right? You were in Florida, yes. Right? Yeah, it was Florida. And then you were like, we had a call and you were like, yes, you know, I want to do this. And so can you just walk us through that moment? Like, because you tried many things. And so now you were here reaching out for help. Like, what were you looking for? And what was that moment?
Yeah. So I think I was really looking to just lose a good 10 pounds. I found that when I was away with my family on vacation, I was kind of doing a bit of hiding, right? So my pictures were always with kids hiding a little bit. Me always in the background, kind of not feeling comfortable. So I really wanted to try something different. I've done boot camps before. I've done different things that were helpful in the short term, but long term they weren't. So it kind of went back to old habits, and I found that I really needed to do something different. So I took a risk. I was a skeptic, won't lie. I was very skeptical at first. I wasn't sure, but I thought, you know what? I'm willing to jump in if it's going to make me more consistent on a daily basis and just kind of improve my overall lifestyle. I also thought about the impact it would have on my family. If I did this, so that my husband could do, you know, we could eat better as a family, and that would be helpful to everybody.
Yeah. So, because you had tried many different things, and basically what you had done was, I'll do this to an extreme level. And then once that thing was level, so I'll avoid all the foods that I like, and I'll eat very little or what have you. And you were successful in the short term, but once that was done, you would always go back to old. In fact, if I recall that very first convo, you said that was how you celebrated, was you went back to some of those old foods when you were done.
Yeah, 100%. We always had a kind of a celebration at the end of some kind of challenge or some kind of event that we kind of participated in. And yeah, it was a little bit kind of cyclical, right? I kind of go through, do something short term, normally different challenges with friends, walking, water challenge, whatever the case may be. But and while it helped, you know, I always lost like 5 pounds or whatever it is in the short term. In the long term, it was just not regular habits that I needed to have on a daily basis.
Yeah. So here we are. You started in September, beginning of the school year, brand new school year. And you also had like an extra volunteer kind of job where you worked for the municipal campaign as well. And so we had an election in October, so you were kind of gearing up for that as well. And then you have your household, and they're all inactive, like in different sports as well. So what you're used to doing was you're used to going all in, right? And here we are, started in that period of time. Can you just walk through like what was the difference between starting that way and what you started before?
Yeah, so I thought it was a bit crazy for me to actually start in a busy period for myself, because I just thought that it would really be difficult to maintain anything, or to even just kind of go through. And I didn't know that I'd be as present or as mindful as I needed to be. And in part, that was true. But because I kind of started a little bit in August, it was certainly helpful to me. Gabriel. Sorry, family life. It was certainly helpful to me to actually start in a little bit of a busy period, because I'm always going to have these events, right? I'm always going to have September. I'm always going to have different things in October, and then it's always kind of like that roller coaster of things that'll start to happen. So I just want to know how to manage that, how to be better at managing that overall, and figuring out what was going to work in those busy periods, because that's when I tend to not eat as well, not exercise, not do all the things that I need to do for me, because you're just pouring out, doing everything for everybody else. So yeah, it was a little bit more difficult, and I thought it might be a little bit crazy to do it then. I wasn't entirely sure, but we jumped in, and I think didn't do it as well, I think, as I could have from the beginning. I think you called me a late bloomer.
I did.
But you know what? It started really clicking for me. I think when I kind of was able to drop a few things and then kind of like really take it on, it really started clicking for me. And then just like in terms of the meals, and just knowing that I could really eat just about anything I want, I was just doing it more mindfully.
Yeah.
And that was like a real change. It was harder at first to really think about, in the grand scheme of things. For me, it was really hard to kind of break down what I was eating on a daily basis, and then like really think through. But as I did, like my portions changed, and not only my portions, but just like the type of food that I was eating too. So I noticed that from the beginning, my pictures and things like that I was posting to you to the very end were much more colorful, more vibrant, enjoyable, and I want to continue that.
Yeah. So I like that what you just shared, because, when I talk to women, it's like they're really good at following the plan when life is tickety boo. But then they're not good at following the plan because they don't set the plan up to fit into the context of their life, and they don't give themselves space for busyness or space for emotional things that come up. And that was exactly what your journey kind of evolved to, is you had periods of really busy, and then you had periods of like, an emotional thing that comes up. And we working together, it's like we figured out, okay, well, what's kind of like the baseline or the minimum standard we could set. And then you said, well, my schedule opened up, things opened up for me. And then you said, I called you like late bloomer, because then I saw things click. Like I saw the light bulbs go off in that moment. And then we transitioned from a minimum standard into not necessarily a max, but now we had more wiggle room to, like you said, be more present and mindful. Is that kind of how you see it too?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Like the food was one aspect. I would say that kind of going through the program, even the workshops, right? And being able to go through and really think through some of the things and the different relationships that I've been part of. Gabriel, you forgot I was here. This is it. I know. Just relationship wise, kind of where I was at, what, how time. So one of the big things, the ahas for me, was trades, for sure. Just thinking about what I was trading for, time. That was a big aha for me.
So there's two things. Is one, you and your husband like to be social together. So there was lots of opportunities for you to go out and eat. And so, which is often a hard thing for women when they think about weight loss, is how do I do that? So I'd like to touch on that too. And I'd like to touch on, that you have a different background. And so you eat different ethnic foods as well. And so sometimes we think weight loss is about giving up part of our culture or tradition as well. And that just wasn't the case for you. So can you just touch on those two things?
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of going out, we do like to go out and have our restaurant visits and things like that. I'm more mindful of what I'm eating throughout the day, so that when I get to that point at night, I might be eating more protein, or maybe I'm eating less carbs in the day, so that I can kind of get my fill in for sure. Like for example, we went to a burger place and I just didn't order it with a bun. I had a lettuce kind of burger instead, which you think wouldn't be. I wouldn't have thought to get that before, but I actually really enjoyed it. And so it's something that I'd probably order again. So it's just being kind of more mindful of what I'm eating throughout the day, and kind of making sure that it's more of a balance for me. And I'm not overeating, where I had to feel like I had to finish everything on my plate, because that's one of the things that from a cultural standpoint, you always did. You clear your plate. That's what you're supposed to do. Although if you're full, you don't really need to really finish your plate. You need to kind of get to the point where you're just satisfied. And I think that was a big learning for me as well. Like I can not finish everything and still enjoy my food and yeah.
Yeah, and you had quite a few birthdays in that time as well. And I remember one of the first times was you having the birthday cake, and you were like, I didn't finish the cake because I was like, it was so great. I'm over it. I'm done it. It's like I didn't need to finish it. It was good. And that was a huge aha for you as well. Like they don't need to finish it.
Yeah, I think like starting with elimination from the beginning, I think I curbed my sugars quite a bit, and then I haven't drank coffee, which if you're ever going through a campaign or school or anything else, it's like you gravitate to coffee. You think that you need it, but actually I haven't. I've had it a few times since in the past about 4 months, but I haven't felt like I needed it, like you think. Water is my go-to. It's what I drink all day long, and I find that it's good for me. And yeah, I just find overall, just thinking about those foods, thinking about the things that just those little parts that kind of come together, I find was really helpful.
Yeah. So like this is a common thing that I hear is like, I'm trying everything. I'm trying everything to lose the weight, and I'm trying everything to maintain the weight. And when usually they're talking about food, like I eat really healthy, I eat really clean, I eat whole foods, and you were doing that too, but it wasn't soliciting the results long term for you. What was the biggest like aha moment for you in terms of like food that was disconnected from you from previous?
I think the whole change in how we saw carbs was really a big one for us, because when you start to not look at it just in terms of breads, then and you start to look at like fruits and different things as carbs as well, you start to really figure out your sugar intake. And so my lunches have changed for sure.
Yeah.
That has been and I need certain things in my lunch now. I need my protein, I need my veggies, and I need a good balance of other fruits that are carbs, but I don't overload it the same way that I did before. That's a big learning, because then I'm not as hungry at night, right?
Yeah.
I'm eating a lot of carbs by lunchtime, and then those sugars would end up impacting my nighttime eating.
Do you remember
Now
you told me the story about the avocado toast too? You said like, I used to eat avocado toast because it was healthy. It was like whole grain bread and it was like avocado, and then it clicked. What clicked for you?
Yeah, it was just in terms of portion sizes, right? Like I would make an avocado, like a full avocado on toast. And I thought that was like super healthy eating. I did every morning. In terms of the fat though content, I started realizing that it was way too much for what I should be having, like a quarter of an avocado, which I don't think is a lot, but is what I could have. And it's actually more filling. Like it's not like at first I was thinking, oh, not like I'd be depriving myself of food, but really my portions are different. So in the end, it feels good, it feels right, and I'm satisfied with the foods that I have.
Oh, I like that you really highlighted that, because one, you use the word satisfied, but two, it's like you weren't fighting hunger the whole way through, which is what most people feel like when they lose weight, they're constantly hungry. And then you said, hey, if I have the right balance, then I don't have those cravings late at night like I used to get.
Yeah, for sure. I know, like my nighttime snacking has gone down quite a bit. I can't say that I don't snack, but I snack way less than I used to. So that's been a bonus for me as well.
So the other component of food before we kind of move into exercise is that this was the first time you were focusing on how you were eating. Before it was always focused on what you were eating. So can you walk through like what do we mean by how you eat?
Just really thinking through even, for example, when to eat certain foods, like for example, proteins, or how I was, I sometimes I would eat things. Actually, before I started with you, I think, I was more going to, sometimes I would skip breakfast, right? And just go to work and then have snacks and have lunch. I wasn't eating like a full breakfast on a regular basis. We weren't sitting down for sure. It was more like a rush and go, grab something and go. Now it's a little bit more like we're mindful about the kind of the veggies and proteins that we eat in the morning, and make sure we get something good and fulfilling through, that's going to fill me up like for quite some time. I kind of pack it more up in the morning now and a little bit less at night, so I'm not as hungry. And that's certainly been like a big change for us, just having more breakfast in the morning, and then what combinations to have, the proteins, the carbs, and when. Just kind of figuring that out has been really helpful.
Yeah, and slow eating, that was a new one for you as well.
Yeah, slow eating is definitely like that mindfulness, even just like sweets, right? I don't have to have a lot, but I'm choosy now about what kind of sweets if I'm gonna eat them, I'm gonna eat the really good ones, and then I'm gonna eat slowly and mindfully, and maybe sit and have a coffee with it, and just like take my time rather than trying to slurp it down. I still remember when I had one of my first donuts on, going as part of the program, and you asked me if I had eaten it mindfully or not, and I was like, no. I pretty much dug into the bag until it was gone, and I looked in the bag and I was like, darn, it's gone, right? And I thought, yeah, there was nothing mindful about it. It was just kind of like I was kind of just sitting there and just digging in. But now I can kind of sit back and not feel the same kind of craving to want it in the first place. But if I did, I would definitely be sitting to eat it more mindfully.
Yeah, awesome. I love that you shared that. And so one of your goals was that you wanted it to be a health journey for your family too. So how is what you did for you impacted the family as a whole?
Yeah, so I think the biggest one is so in the mornings we're eating breakfast together a lot more. So we're making breakfast, we're sitting down a little bit more. That in itself is great for us, taking time to do that, even if it's 5-10 minutes or whatever it is before everyone has to run out the door. We're mindful about kind of like the proteins and the veggies that we're eating throughout the day. So even when I'm packing my kids' lunches, I'm always making sure that they have now vegetables in their lunch as well. So they're getting that part in, and it's a little bit more balanced in terms of what they're eating. Our lunches are much better than they were before, for sure. And then our nighttime dining too is more protein, more vegetable, and a little bit more balanced. So my husband has actually moved away from eating a lot more gluten. So he tends not to eat it at all, where I will have it in smaller portions, but not as big as I would have had before. And that's like a big change for both of us. So yeah, we went to a party recently, and you can kind of see people around about my age in there, and how everybody's bodies have certainly changed over time, right? That we hadn't seen those people in a long time. And it was really interesting, like to be able to kind of look in the room and be like, oh, okay, like everyone has really changed, and I think we're changing too, just kind of doing the reverse, like feeling like we're feeling that much better and just feeling good about ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. And you have lost more than 10 pounds.
Yes.
And so what are people noticing about you? Because I'm sure they're not just noticing the physical changes, they're noticing other things, because I see it.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, so one of the things that when we first took my pictures, which I cringed at, for sure. My first one. I know, I remember that you noticed my posturing and my alignment, right? And so we did some corrective measures that helped me with just my posturing and things like that, which has really helped. So it was interesting. I met a friend a few weeks ago, and she said to me, "Man, like, what are you doing? What's the change?" And I said, "Well, I've been trying to take care of myself a little bit." And she said, "Yeah, but it's like different. It's like your posture's changed." She said to me, like, your whole posture and demeanor is kind of different now. And I thought, well, that's really interesting for you to say, right? Because I feel like it has, like, the confidence is different, and I just feel good overall.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So let's talk about exercise now.
Mhm.
Because most women feel like they need more time in their schedule to do more exercise.
Yeah, yeah.
What
And
do
I
you
thought so too. Well, I think making it part of my habit has been, like, much better for me. So I generally like waking up in the morning, not so early, but just creating a habit. I naturally now wake up to work out, and even on the days that I kind of feel like, do I really want to get up? I think, you know what, something's better than nothing. So even if it's like a 30-minute just walking on a treadmill, rather than doing nothing at all, I feel like at least it's purposeful for my day. And I'm finding much more like that it really sets my day. So when I have a good workout and I feel like a little bit more of a pump through it, kind of lends to the whole day kind of going well, and like I seem to be able to focus a lot more and just roll in and do all those things that I need to do. So it's like I get more accomplished, to be honest,
Yeah.
rather than less.
I love that you just shared that, because when we worked on your steps, right? Which as a teacher, you generally get that. So for other people who work just jobs, that would be a little bit more challenging. But also it's like you're just doing 30 minutes of movement. And for you, it happens to work out to be in the morning, where other clients that I have, it works at different times of the day. But for you, it's in the morning. So I love that you highlighted that, because it's not hours of working.
Right. Yes. No, and I've always found that for me, like, an hour just like feels like so long. But if I knew it's like half hour, 45 minutes, and I can kind of be in and done. And I think for me, just having kind of like that cutoff time where I know that there's something, like there's breakfast or there's something that I'm going to be going to, and just spending those extra that extra time with my family has made it worth it.
Yeah. So Sonya, one of the things that we worked on together was when you have an emotional time of year that comes up in the evening, I mean in the fall, and one of the things that you were doing was adding more busyness to your
Mhm.
schedule, because you knew that there was always this really hard time in the fall. And one of the things that we worked on was giving feelings space,
Right.
which was new for you. And you don't have to go into it, but I just, one, because it's not about just what we eat, it's not just about what we moving our body. It's, I kind of wanted to highlight the fact that we worked on some of the feeling stuff, just giving it space, and what happened with that in terms of your journey.
Yeah. So that emotional component is actually really important. So the workshops that I think I went through with you kind of highlighted a lot of things that I hadn't really thought of in a long time. So they make you really reflective on different parts and different aspects of your life. So the one area for me is obviously I grieve my son. So of my four boys, one of my boys passed away. He was 3 years old. So Adam's always a big part. He's been, the years pass by, but it's always kind of there, and it hangs over us in the fall for sure. So for me, it's definitely how can I be busy so that I don't have to kind of spend time with these feelings. It's really difficult. And so the busier I am, the kind of the better it's been. So yeah, I guess going back and just kind of giving space to my feelings was a big part of just feeling like, okay, I can do this, and we're gonna get past this point. And I was still in program with you, so just being able to kind of will still work out and still feel good and still go through those emotions and still give space and give myself some time. I think that was really helpful and part of my journey, really.
Yeah, and part of the continued healing and preserving that memory as well. So whereas you were very much let's keep it busy, and we worked on, can we just take a couple moments to give it some space here? And I remember you then messaging me and being like, felt so good after that
Yeah.
reflection there. So I guess like for women who, you know, feel like they're doing it all, just like you were feeling, or have spent many years doing this and just feel like they, you know, they make progress and then they lose it, you know, they're good at starting, not finishing, or they feel like it has to be all about food, all about exercise, or it has to be this way, or it's not, you know, that all or nothing perfect thinking. What do you say to that person? And it could, I know that I just highlighted maybe a couple of different people, but what do you say to that woman?
I think it's all about consistency in the end, right? So you can do a little bit of everything. You can do like you can try different things, but in the end, those habits that you start to develop, and like I want my habits now to be kind of more long-term habits. And although I even set myself a goal of 10 pounds, like I exceeded that. Now that goal is even gone, not because I want to lose weight, because I think I'm at a good point, but because now I want more definition, and that's starting to happen for me too. My husband had mentioned to me, he kind of looked at me and went, "Wow, your arms," you know, and I was like, "Yes, he finally said it," right? So like I keep moving the mark now, which I think is really important for my journey, because you know I initially only thought, yeah, if I can just lose that 10 pounds, I'd be good. And then 10 pounds came, and I thought, well, like now it's just it was kind of falling off a little bit. And I gotta tell you, it feels great to get into the clothes that kind of hugged me too tight a little bit before, or fit me looser, and those clothes that were like everything just fits better, or some things maybe even too big for me. So I like that in itself is a great feeling to have, because I know I'm fit. I, you know, going out and meeting different people that haven't seen me in a while, that's I think where people are kind of like, wow, like what are you doing? Like that
Yeah.
sort of thing. And that's good, but ultimately I'm finding that I'm doing it for me. So I'm not really doing it for that. I'm doing it for myself, because it's the feeling that I have and just the energy level that I have now that I haven't had in a long time. That in itself makes it worth it. And that's why I get up every morning and do my workouts, and am more conscious of the food that I eat, for sure.
Yeah, and I love that you highlighted consistency, because it's not about perfection. And I like that you highlighted consistency and be like, it's basically always something. It's always, you know, it's always some sort of movement. It's always something towards my nutrition. It's always something towards giving my feeling space, or managing my stress or my sleep or whatever. So it's always something that you're working towards, because we've stopped coaching together for about 4 weeks now. And this, like, we're talking to you 4 weeks post coaching and things are still progressing along. And so do you feel like, because a lot of programs are focused on just losing the 10 pounds, let's say, but not setting you up with the habits and the skills to keep going. Do you feel like
Yeah,
that was different?
yeah. I felt like you called it at one point. You called it practice. Like we're practicing, because I was getting frustrated throughout, because it was like a lot of, as a mom, a lot of thinking. Like I, you know, I just kind of wanted to have a meal. I didn't want to think about everything that was going into it. And you kept telling me, but we're just practicing, because at a certain point, you're going to get to the point where you're just gonna know, and you're just gonna do what you need to do without having to really think it through. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I can have a meal and think, okay, I got this many protein. And, you know, I kind of do that naturally, but not overthinking it at the same time. Like we still have fantastic meals when we're out. I think I expressed to you too that the meals that I pick are better meals, I think, for myself. You know, like I'll pick up maybe a little bit of a nicer restaurant, because I know the quality of my food is going to be a little bit better. So I
Which
look at,
I'm laughing, because that was something that I always said in the beginning. I was like, just watch, like your taste buds will change, and like that generic chocolate bar will not taste the same. You'll want something higher quality, or like you're and you know, I always get met with the same thing, the eye roll. And it happened for you.
yeah, for sure. For sure. That's one thing. And the other thing I think that I realized too is that it's not perfect every day. I'm going to slip up. I'm not going to work out some days. I'm not going to, you know, feel my best every day. And it's okay to give myself grace, like, and time, and just know that, you know, the next day will be different, and I can start fresh the next day and just kind of go forward. And I think that's been a big learning part for me too.
Yeah, I love that you said, hey, it's moved from practice. So it was a little bit more mental energy, not necessarily time, but mental energy. And then now it's at a point where it feels automated. It occupies less space. Sometimes you don't even notice that you're doing it. So I like that you highlighted that. And I like that you highlighted that it's a brand new day every day, because a lot of women, mess up on the Friday and it's like, I'll wait until Monday to roll around. But it's like, no, the mess up or whatever happened, and it's like the next opportunity, we're back on it. So we've closed the gap
Yeah.
in between there too.
Yeah. What was the quote that you told me? Like, no 2 days, not 2 days in a row or something like that. And that's why I think of that, because on some days I'm like, and I'm like, nope, no 2 days in a row. We're gonna get up and we're just gonna kind of do it, the way we need to do it. So
Yeah, but I like your use of the word grace, because sometimes it's just a treadmill and it's easy going, and then sometimes it's something different.
yeah, and it all depends, right? And I think that's like it's fine, because I still like, I feel good, and I know kind of, now I have goals for myself too, which I haven't sat down to really think about. So I have goals in mind, things I want to accomplish that I've set out for myself too. So I look forward to doing all those things as well.
Yes, perfect. So just before we go, is there anything, what would you say to the woman who's on the fence about whether it's coaching through me or just getting started seriously? Like, what would you say to that woman who's just on the fence about that?
I would say that I wish I had started earlier.
Hmm.
So I hope that, yeah, because I do think, just the way you feel and the way the confidence level and the way you carry yourself is so different when you feel that, when you go through this, just like I said, your energy level, everything about it is just like such a key part. So why not have healthy habits earlier that'll get you kind of doing the things that you love earlier? Like, why wait? And I'm glad that I did it now, and I didn't wait. But I kind of at the same time sometimes wish, oh, maybe if I had done it a few years earlier, I would have had that much more energy to be able to carry forward. So definitely not waiting, doing it when you can and if you're able to, and just moving forward, because it is worth it.
Perfect. Well, everybody, I want you to, in the comments, let us know what your takeaway is from Sonya's, her journey here. And any questions you have for Sonya, you can drop them in, or for me, you can drop them in the comments too. But just give Sonya a shout out for sharing her story, because it takes a little bit vulnerable. It's like, I don't know how this is going to go. And she did it. She did it to share her experience with you, to hopefully inspire and motivate you to take action as well. So Sonya, I just want to thank you for taking some time.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye,
Thanks for
everybody.
having me.